Loretta Lynn, the coal miner's daughter, sang the pain of a hard-working life into every note, turning hardship into a timeless anthem. Steve Harwell, frontman of Smash Mouth, gave the world a catchy chorus that still echoes in every beachside karaoke session. Robbie Coltrane, the towering Scottish actor, blended gravitas and humour, most famously as Hagrid, reminding us that sighs can be gentle. Maggie Smith, a British thespian, has graced the stage and screen for decades, proving that wit and talent never age. Bob Marley, the reggae prophet, turned simple rhythms into global messages of unity, love, and resistance. Quincy Jones, the musical mastermind, crafted soundscapes that defined generations, from jazz to pop, with an ear for genius. Born in Hayward, California, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson grew up under the shadow of a family dynasty that blended performance and physicality. His grandfather, High Chief Peter Maivia, was a celebrated Samoan wrestler, while his father, Rocky Johnson, crossed the Atlantic to become a pioneering black champion in the ring. The expectations were clear: strength, charisma, and a stage. Yet the young Dwayne felt the weight of lineage as a double-edged sword. Pride in his heritage, but a relentless pressure to prove himself beyond the family name. At 16, a football scholarship to the University of Miami promised a different path. He thrived on the field, earning a national championship in 1991. But a lingering back injury shattered that dream and left him confronting an identity crisis. The abrupt loss of a sports future forced him to reevaluate his purpose. Instead of surrendering, he turned to the one arena where his blood already pulsed: professional wrestling. When he entered the WWF in 1996 under the moniker Rocky Maivia, the audience was skeptical. The early gimmick, an earnest, almost earnest, second-generation hopeful, failed to resonate. Behind the polished promos, Johnson wrestled with self-doubt, fearing he would be dismissed as a novelty act rather than a legitimate performer. The turning point arrived in 1997, when he shed the naive persona, embraced the brash, eyebrow-raising swagger of The Rock, and let his natural humor cut through the scripted violence. The crowd's roar was not just applause. It was validation that his authenticity could eclipse any inherited legacy. The Rock became a cultural juggernaut, a blend of catchphrase wizardry and genuine athleticism. Yet the public image of an invincible entertainer masked a grueling schedule. 300-plus live shows a year, relentless travel, and an ever-tightening diet to maintain a physique that bordered on the superhuman. In interviews, he would later admit that the constant demand to look larger than life left little room for personal recovery. The backstage corridors of WWE were a crucible where injuries piled up, and the pressure to perform never waned. In 2000, Johnson made a calculated gamble. He left wrestling for Hollywood. Critics warned that his larger-than-life charisma might not translate to the silver screen, and his first foray, The Mummy Returns, was a modest supporting role. Yet the seed was planted. He leveraged his wrestling fame to secure roles that highlighted his physicality while challenging him to develop a nuanced acting range. The breakthrough arrived with The Scorpion King, 2002, a solo lead vehicle that proved he could carry a blockbuster. The film's success was less about the script than about Johnson's ability to fuse humor, vulnerability, and raw power, reshaping the public's perception from a one-dimensional action star to a versatile entertainer. Behind the bright lights, the transition was fraught. He faced typecasting, studio skepticism, and the personal toll of leaving a community that had defined his early adult years. He also grappled with the cultural expectations of his Samoan heritage, questioning whether his Hollywood persona diluted his roots. To reconcile this, Johnson began weaving his background into his projects, most visibly in the Rampage franchise and the documentary The Rock, The Legacy of a Legend, where he highlighted Samoan traditions and advocated for broader representation. His public image, charismatic, relentless, ever optimistic, was carefully curated through social media, where he posted motivational snippets and behind-the-scenes glimpses. Yet the private cost was a relentless discipline. He adhered to a strict regimen, 6 meals a day, daily workouts, and a sleep schedule that often fell short of 8 hours. Family time became a luxury. He has spoken candidly about missing his children's milestones, the guilt of being absent for birthdays, and the strain that constant travel places on any marriage. The dichotomy between a smiling, larger-than-life figure on screen and a father who longs for ordinary evenings at home creates a tension that fuels his drive. In 2016, Johnson expanded his empire with the launch of 7 Bucks Productions, a nod to the modest sum his mother gave him when he left wrestling. The company's mission, to create inclusive stories that reflect a diverse world, mirrored his own desire to move beyond the muscle-only narrative. Projects like Fighting with My Family, 2019, and Jungle Cruise, 2021, allowed him to explore different genres while retaining his signature humor. Simultaneously, his philanthropic work grew. He founded the Dwayne Johnson Rock Foundation to support at-risk youth, and during the COVID-19 pandemic, he donated meals to frontline workers and funded scholarships for college athletes. These actions reinforce a public persona of generosity, yet they also reveal the internal calculus of a man who feels compelled to give back, perhaps as a counterbalance to the relentless consumption of his own image. The modern chapter of his career is defined by strategic diversification. He hosts the game show The Titan Games, where he mentors contestants, reinforcing his brand as a motivator. He continues to act, producing, and even direct, all while maintaining a robust presence on platforms like Instagram and TikTok, where he reaches millions with concise, punchy messages. This omnipresence demands a stamina that borders on the superhuman. The private cost is a constant negotiation between authenticity and performance. Yet the narrative is not solely about sacrifice. Johnson's story also showcases the agency he has reclaimed. By owning his production company, negotiating profit participation, and demanding creative control, he has shifted from being a talent bought and sold to a stakeholder shaping the industry's future. His ability to leverage his public image into tangible business power illustrates a nuanced understanding of modern celebrity economics. Today, at the age of 51, Dwayne Johnson stands at a crossroads that few of his peers have navigated. A living legend, still expanding his influence. He remains a cultural touchstone, appearing on talk shows, endorsing brands, and championing causes ranging from mental health awareness to environmental sustainability. The public sees the ever-smiling, motivational powerhouse. The private reality is a man who balances a grueling schedule, a demanding family life, and a relentless drive to redefine what it means to be a modern hero. The story of Dwayne Johnson is a study in contrast. His larger-than-life persona masks a disciplined, often solitary, pursuit of excellence. The applause that follows his catchphrases is underpinned by sleepless nights, a regimented diet, and the weight of expectations inherited from a lineage of performers. It is this tension between the image of an unstoppable force and the private cost of maintaining that image that continues to shape his journey. As he steps into new ventures, the world watches, aware that the legend they cheer for is also a man constantly negotiating the boundaries between fame and authenticity. In the final analysis, Johnson's ongoing legacy is not merely the sum of box office numbers or championship belts. It is the embodiment of a narrative where resilience, cultural pride, and strategic entrepreneurship converge. The Rock remains a living conversation between myth and man, inviting us to consider how public triumphs are often forged in the quiet, disciplined chambers of private perseverance. His story, still unfolding, reminds us that behind every larger-than-life figure lies a human who, like all of us, wrestles with the balance of ambition, family, and identity. The next chapter will be written not just on the silver screen, but in the everyday choices that define a life lived in the public eye, yet rooted in personal truth.